eyes, all of them different sounds, and we are in store for a great spectacle as the light starts to fade and the headlights pierce the gloom, looking very Le Mans this in a sense, as the pace car as it is sets away and the rolling start commences in readiness of the Sands China Macau GT Cup.
And it was with a sense of urgency that the officials knew that with the diminishing light and the reopening of the roads that they had to get the grid clear very, very quickly. The countdown to the Sands China Macau GT Cup was run as quickly as possible, and the cars, you could hear them in the background before the podium was complete for the preceding touring car race. You could already hear that the GT cars were released onto the circuit to minimise the amount of time, the amount of delay that we'd have before we got the race underway. The Porsche, the 911 GT3R on pole position, Ye Hong Li at the wheel of that car is spectacular. It looks spectacular. The overhead view of the livery on the car is really impressive. That was a great shot, wasn't it, just before the cars went off on the formation lap. It looks great, it works great, he's driving great, and it would take a brave person to bet against success in this race for the 33 Porsche. On pole position, I've just worked out, we've just seen a win for the 33 car in the a gear race, the 8-lap race 1 of the weekend. Marcin Hua has just been on the top step of the podium. Could it be that 33 is a lucky number? We shall find out after 8 laps around the gear circuit. You're right, the cars look big, they're powerful, they're spectacular around the gear circuit.
In the first race was Charles Owanga's 11, a factor of 33. So
oh, well done.
Keep going. More tenuous links to come.
I'm not very good at maths.
In my tenuous link pocket, I can offer you the following. Yeah, you're right about them looking brutal and the headlights on. Now, of course, there's a reason why these are put to the end of the day. It's because they've got headlights, whereas tomorrow, the intention is that we're done by 10 past 4 local time. And, of course, the last race is the single-seater race for the Grand Prix itself. You end on the Grand Prix. But as we are now with the light fading, the drivers having to cope with that changing as well, and reference points become a little bit more difficult and harder to find over the course of 8 laps. It should be about 20 minutes this race, so there should be enough light come the end. But of course, as soon as people put the headlights on, it makes it look darker. And
you made a really good point before we were talking this morning. Yes, you did, about this being one of the very rare opportunities globally that you have to see these cars as a one-driver race on effectively a sprint race.
Yeah, and in fact, through the FIA GT World Cup, there is the intention for the Motorsport Games next year, when hopefully we can all travel more freely, to have exactly that. Because within the first Motorsport Games at Vallelunga, we had this Pro-Am competition, but they want an equivalent for nations. So you have it for the drivers here, but then a pro driver where you're representing your country at the Motorsport Games, and that would be something very special, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be very special. This race is one of my highlights every year of the Macau Grand Prix weekends. Absolutely love seeing these cars unleashed around the Macau circuit, because they are almost too big for the mountain section, but at home and tamed on the quick part of the circuit. If you understand, it's a circuit that has everything. It's got the technical twists and turns of the mountain section. It's got the very quick part of the circuit that these cars can really stretch their legs, and it requires a highly skilled driver around the Macau circuit in a GT3 car to be on the top step of the podium. What a field, what a sight.
It was a Nelson Piquet quote, I think it was, and it was something about racing at Monaco and saying it was like riding a bicycle around your bedroom. And it's a bit the same for these cars here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there is no margin for error. They're big, they're physical. Yes, they've got aero, and of course they count on that at certain parts of the circuit, but at other parts you're just sort of threading through the walls. Right, we're set to go racing, aren't we? The 8 laps to determine the grid for tomorrow's Sands China Macau GT Cup. Pole position to Ye Hong Li, last year's winner. Darrell O'Young alongside him in the Mercedes. The pace car peels in, the field accelerates up towards the timing line. The lights will change, the race gets underway. Now it is blast off, 1 or 2 on their toes, like Alex Imperatori for the 3rd row of the grid, who gets the inside line. He's mugged a row already. He's gone third then as they dive down towards Reservoir Bend for the first time. but who is it going to be as the lights pierce the gloom? Is it Porsche? Is it Mercedes? It is Ye Hong Lee just ahead at the moment, with in second place Darrell O'Young. Alexandre Imperatori is third as they dive then down through Mandarin towards Lisboa for the first time, and it's Porsche just with the advantage. And in fact, Ye Hong Lee gaps Darrell O'Young by a couple of lengths as they break for Lisboa. Mercedes second, Porsche third. That's Imperatori just ahead of Lorcai Law in fourth place.
And Imperatori putting a pressure on the back of the Mercedes heading through Lisboa and then around San Francisco, up San Francisco Hill. Do you know, the way the cars approached the start of the race, I actually thought that Darrell O'Young was going to get the jump on the Porsche by the time that the lights went out. It was not so, and the Porsche it is that leads. It has been very much the benchmark since qualifying. It was very quick in warm-up earlier on as well, and now with a gap between himself and the Mercedes in second place, I do wonder if the real challenge is going to come in third place from Imperatori as they went into Lisboa and San Francisco right on the tail of the Mercedes. In this section dropped back a little bit, but that's because in turn the second of the Porsches is under pressure as well.
Just pondering who you'd put your money on out of Darrell O'Young and Alexandre Imperatori. Alex is very much a pro driver. Darrell O'Young is massively experienced, but he's neither a pro nor an am. He's a kind of am plus, really. But Imperatori might just have the guile to get through before the end of the race, although Darrell O'Young knows this circuit like the back of his hand. He powers his way then now down towards the Macau hairpin for the first time, and it is last year's winner of the GT Cup, Ye Hong Lee, getting away, and there you can see how the cars have to turn in, and then a little boot of the throttle to kick the background to get them properly squarely around the corner.
They're not easy to get around that corner, that's for sure, and the way Imperatori has been driving this weekend in a very, very determined fashion, well, you can wonder if the Mercedes is about to come under pressure. Not close enough now, and not particularly a worry is pressure from behind for the race leader. Up towards the line, one lap in the book now. So Ye Hong Lee it is that leads. Mercedes for him last year, Porsche this year.
Through they turn, and the gap between the race leaders, 1.3 seconds then at the end of the opening lap. Down they come, heading into the fast right of Mandarin, and the gap is now 1.3 seconds between the top two. But Alexandre Imperatori actually is not as close to Darrell O'Young as he needs to be, and if anything, it's the Mercedes of Lorcai Law in fourth that's becoming the danger. Imperatori does not need a distraction. He needs to have total concentration on that car there. Darrell O'Young's Mercedes right ahead of him.
Yeah, and there is a distraction because he has to at least glance in the mirror because he's under pressure. It's the unenviable position of having to attack and defend as well. On the mountain section, you could be a little bit more confident that a move is not going to be made, but the three of them very close indeed as they head through the twisty section of the circuit here at Macau. And the race leader just in shot there as we pan around and see the Porsche, then the gap before we have the Mercedes in second place, and then a gap before we have Imperatori. So that distraction that you spoke about, I think that's what's caused the gap to extend between second and third.
But Darrell O'Young doing a good job of hanging on in there, really, because Imperatori, who's raced in just about every GT or sports car championship going, does a lot of his racing, of course, in the Far East, but still plenty in Europe when he can. He, I would have thought, would have had the upper hand over Darrell O'Young. So Darrell, to maintain the gap, doing a good job. Imperatori is, what, 3 lengths back? But the move for the inside at Lisboa needs to start now, doesn't it? Bring down that deficit, get in the wheel tracks, get in the slipstream all the way down through Reservoir and Mandarin, and then dive out and make the move. So if Imperatori is on his toes, he'll commit to it now and get on with the job. Or he might just think, no, I'm going to be on the second row. That's fine. I can do the hard work tomorrow. This is all about gaining places on the grid. Depends which his mindset is.
12 laps tomorrow, 8 laps today. And as we focus on the number 20 Porsche coming under increasing pressure because the Porsche has gone on into, goodness me, so into third place goes the number 99 car. And the Porsche, did that come into pit lane?
It did, yeah, it's pitted. So Darrell O'Young's just done the fastest lap of the race, and Alex Imperatori is down the pit lane. So he did go straight on, but that was to get to pit in. So the lead gap is down to 1 second. Darrell O'Young now can sniff a win here against the Porsche of Ye-Hong Lee, but at pit in is Alexandre Imperatori then, so he was running in third place and suddenly bails for the pit lane.
Now, there was no real indication that there was a loss of pace or a problem, was there, particularly for...
Well, no, I mean, if anything, we were looking at him defending from Lord Kai Law. He might have dropped a length or two to Darrell O'Young, but he wasn't crawling round, so either a problem hit very late in the lap, which you could argue is fortuitous given where the pit entry is, or it was something that he felt was not right, needed to come in, but he's still in the pit, so it's a long stop. It's not been a sudden dash.
No, Porsche, Mercedes, the top three in this 8-lap race for the Sands China Macau GT Cup. Looking at the back of the number 99 car, that's Lo Kai Law in the Toro Racing Mercedes. And that's the Porsche that leads the race. Fastest lap of the race now, without pressure from behind from the Porsche of Alexandre Imperatori. Darrell O'Young with the fastest lap of the race, a 2:21.366. So a 2:21.366. The best lap of qualifying yesterday for Ye-Hong Lee was a 2:22.81. So Darrell O'Young, good pace here in second place.
Down towards the Melco hairpin they come. We're on lap 4 then. Imperatori still stuck in the pit lane. Incidentally, he's not rejoined, so real shame. I wonder if that's a legacy of yesterday's brush with the wall, as though he's done some damage and it's reared its head now. Rather than risk it, they're going to have to start from the back of the grid for the race tomorrow. There is Ye-Hong Lee then coming up through Fisherman's Bend down towards the R bend. Darrell O'Young forcing that Mercedes to do things it does not want to do. It is being driven absolutely on the edge here, and Lord Kai Law doing a good job in third spot as down they come. Darrell O'Young hustles the nose of the car towards the apex for the R bend, up toward the timing line now, breaks the beam, 1.083 last time, and on this lap the margin for the moment is a secret. It is now revealed as 1.4 finally, and that means that it has stretched out. Ye-Hong Lee has just done the fastest lap of the race, a 2:21.1, so he's stretching the margin again over Darrell O'Young.
2:22.81 was pole time yesterday, so still just under a second shy of that time. This, of course, in race trim, and the Porsche led away from the line. We are on lap 4 of 8, so this the half distance lap as they go through Lisboa. Porsche leads Mercedes. The gap extending between Darrell O'Young and the third place car, the 99 car of Lo Kai Law. And we've got battles down the order as well, haven't we, going into Lisboa. That's the number 91 car, David Pun, defending very tightly as they go through San Francisco. Back with the race leader.
So there's Ye-Hong Lee, but behind him Darrell O'Young looks like he's having another challenge here, because although the gap did extend, that Mercedes to the eye a fraction nearer as they plunge downhill once more through the Solitude S's towards Faraway Hill. And there Ye-Hong Lee, you can see how fast, how great the acceleration is on these cars, because they sort of whip round a corner, don't they? They don't have the same sort of ease through the corner as some of the less powerful cars. Everything is a sudden movement out of one of these. And
the wiggle at the back of the Mercedes, how close they come to the barrier on the outside. There's a problem for the Lamborghini, the 63 car of Tangrol Bin, and that car has come to a stop, unfortunately, smoking away, grinding to a halt. That's not good news.
My fear would be if that's put any liquid down, because if that's been a spectacular engine drama, it might want to put some liquid on the road, and that's the last thing you need at the end of a fast section down towards Lisboa like that. So the officials will have a quick look at the state of the road. Here is the advantage that Ye-Hong Lee has over Darrell O'Young, the margin to the eye stretching once again.
Agreed. It was 1.4 at the end of lap number 3. They're coming up to complete the half distance lap in this 8-lap race. What's the gap going to be between the top two at the end of half distance? Was 1.4. It's gone out, but only by a tenth or so. 1.5 now between the top two.
And that's a big engine blow, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's got to have put something on the racetrack. So thankfully it's offline. I think, to be fair to Tangror Bin, he must have felt it tightening, knew something was about to go, but the drivers need to... Is there a slippery surface flag? There isn't, because they're having to negotiate the car. In fact, oh, there's the oil, and Darrell Young catches it. He's in the wall. He's on 2 wheels. He just misses the stricken car, but that was because he hit the oil. There was no slippery surface flag. They were having a yellow out to warn them of a parked car, but it's the oil that's caught out Darrell Young. A red flag is being shown. The race is suspended, and Darrell Young at high speed hit the oil, and when you do that, you are a passenger.
It was the perfect description as well, because there was absolutely nothing. As soon as the slippery surface, yep, you just wait for the bang, and bang there was.
How he missed that Lamborghini, Alan.
Yes, that was so very, very close to collecting the car that was stricken, and that is so disappointing. Incredible that the Porsche got through and didn't get caught out by the surface on the circuit. Red flag is showing. Everyone into pit lane, and yeah, that's not what you want to see, is it?
Now the race is not stopped, the race is suspended. So assuming there is time, the cars could continue from a safety car restart, which would give them the end. They were on lap 5, so the red flag comes out. Everybody has done 4, so a safety car restart, were that to be the case, would be lap 5, and then you've got lap 6, 7 and 8 to finish the race. But it all rather depends on how long it takes to sort out the damage, retrieve cars, treat the circuit, check the barriers, and get things underway, because we've lost an hour already, and of course the roads need opening, so there's a little bit of a deadline to be working to here.
Yeah, there is. The Porsche on its own, rather sadly, because everything was shaping up for a great battle between the Porsche and the Mercedes.
All cars back to paddock, so that suggests no resumption of the race, a result declared.
Yeah.
And that would give Darrell Young second place, because on the countback he would stay second, and therefore he'd be on the front row of the grid. He might have a wrecked car now, but the one consolation prize is the front row for tomorrow.
He'd be so disappointed with that. It was a heavy impact. You could see how well the barriers work. He's being helped away from the car, and with a marshal taking him to a place of safety. The Lamborghini that had that huge blow up on the circuit in the huge cloud of smoke, that being craned out of the way, and it will be a lot of disappointment. You can see so dejected walking away, and not surprised. BMW medical car comes to a stop alongside the destroyed Mercedes, but the driver for the medical team on the other side of the Armco already, and you could see a great display there of just how strong these barriers are here at Macau, absorbing all of that impact and bouncing the car back onto the circuit, which is what they're designed to do. They're incredibly sophisticated, these barriers, designed to absorb energy and keep everybody on the other side of the barrier as safe as possible. Technology utilised in a very safe way every year at Macau.
And Darrell Young was lucky that didn't go over.
So disappointing, isn't it, to see? Yeah, you're right. Very lucky.
Trying to drag it away from the barrier, and then they can get the crane, or the straps rather, to the other side of the car. But yeah, I mean, lots of things out of all of that. First of all, I agree with you. How the Porsche survived, it must have just been, you know, a few centimetres away from the oil, so there was enough traction.
Incredible.
Or maybe a message over the radio to the driver to say, be careful. And perhaps Craft Bamboo weren't able to get that to Darrell Young, or maybe they did, but even so, he was caught out. That was the incident. So, look, they brake for the corner, and then on the oil, the car snakes and into the barrier, oh so close to going over, and oh so close to hitting the back of the Lamborghini.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible that Lamborghini wasn't collected.
Yeah. Well, Darrell Young okay, bit shaken, understandably. And all of that was happening into the braking area, so a little bit of speed would have been scrubbed off, but not much, because as soon as he touched the brake, really the car squirmed away from him with the oil. So there is Darrell Young. The bigger question really now would be, can you get that car anything like race ready for tomorrow? And the team won't know that until it's returned to them. So
the BMW medical cars, the circuit workers as well. You see how much fluid has been dropped by Darrell Young's car, where it came to an eventual stop just on the outside of the run through the right-hander at Lisboa. but very disappointing to see two cars have an expensive moment. First of all, the Lamborghini with an engine, and then the Mercedes, unfortunately, just capturing that slippery surface and coming to an end at Lisboa. Very sad.
Now, Darrell Young will go to the medical centre for a check. That's normal practice in any incident, large or small, where there's contact with something. But we need him for the podium as well. So hopefully
yes.
That won't take too long.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
There's the independent TCR Asia podium getting underway with the drivers for the classes being acknowledged. So we anticipate a podium, but the first part of the Sands China Macau GT Cup gave us some good racing, but very disappointing that we had that big accident for Darrell Young and a huge hit into the barriers.
And that's our final race of day 2 for the 68th Macau Grand Prix. Tomorrow gets underway a little bit later in the morning, 8:30 in the morning for race 2 for the Win Macau Challenge Cup. 12 laps in prospect for the first of our tin top races at Macau tomorrow, followed by 12 laps for the Melco Macau Touring Car Cup. Circuit workers working to sweep and deal with the fluid as well down there on the tarmac. You might wonder why they're dealing with it so quickly now. Well, very soon these are going to be normal roads around Macau for the evening. The circuit will be closed and opened up to normal traffic, buses, taxis, cars, motorcycles. A bustling activity in prospect for Saturday night here at Macau, and that is when the tarmac becomes a normal road. So the circuit workers don't only have to get the tarmac prepared for racing, they also have to get the tarmac ready for road cars as well, and that's what will be happening at Macau very soon. And you can see the normal everyday activity of Macau going on in the background. That's the ferry terminal you can see in the background, which is the central hub to so much of the rest of the world. So we await a podium at the end of the track activity of the day.
There the drivers at the end of a shortened race. The cars back in the garages, they'll have a chance to reflect on that limited amount of mileage. There's the repaired BMW. Good to see it after its dramas of Friday. One Kaiwa, the car looking immaculate once more with its sort of pseudo martini stripes across the front.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, the drivers, as I say, will go to the podium. There's a press conference for them to come as well. But right now, all eyes from race control focused on the clear-up operation of two rather affected cars. One needing a new engine, and Darrell Young's very badly damaged Mercedes. So with the customer racing support that the brands give to teams, it just depends what spare parts are needed. There is the time, in a sense, because they will race tomorrow, but it's going to be a race at 10 minutes past 1, so they are not quite 24 hours away, but it would be a very long night for the teams, but they do have some of tomorrow to work on it as well.
I was running down the timetable for tomorrow, wasn't I? And I didn't get further than the second race of the day, the 2 touring car races, and then the first GT race of the day, 10:40 local time. And with the super medical team that we have here at Macau, full check over will of course be carried out on the drivers to make sure they're absolutely fine. But at 10:40 tomorrow, the MGM Greater Bay Area GT Cup race, 12-lap race, second of our touring car races for the Galaxy Entertainment Macau Gear race, the big one, the 12 lap race for the Macau gear race at 12:05 tomorrow. Then the 12-lap race for the cars we've just seen, the Sands China Macau GT Cup at 1:10, and then the build-up for the SJM Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix 12-lap race due to get underway at 3:30 in the afternoon. Before that, we've got plenty of build-up and a special event to look forward to as well. All of it coming up tomorrow. Grand Prix date here for the 68th Macau Grand Prix. Before that, we have a podium.
We do indeed, because the drivers are being brought forward. Darrell Young, you saw going to the medical centre. So once he has been released, then we'll get him hopefully to the podium ceremony as well. Very strange way, if you like, to end your day with a trip to the medical centre and the podium. But the regulation that some of you might be familiar with, whereas if you are the cause of and or not running at the time of a red flag, you're taken out of the results. That's very much a British Motorsport UK regulation, not an international one. It's why, for example, Dries Van Thor was able to win this race a few years ago when it was the FIA GT World Cup upside down. And on the count back, he took the win. So Darrell Young stays in the results. So Ye Hyung Lee, Darrell Young and Law Kai Law will go to the podium. Did I say Dries Van Thor? I meant Lawrence Van Thor. Force of habit, because Dries Van Thor is who I come across more often in yes. GT World Challenge Europe these days. But plus also my senility doesn't help. There is an opportunity for drivers to relay news back home as to how they've got on. And we'll get the winning drivers to the podium, as I say, shortly. The marshals leave post after a very long and busy day. And quite a few of them have had to be involved in barrier repairs as well. So they deserve some downtime, but others haven't finished yet because they've got to sort out the dramas here down at the approach to Lisboa, with the circuit needing to be treated after the oil was dropped. And yeah, interesting to know whether it was just good luck on the part of Ye Hyung Lee or whether he'd been able to have news offered up from the team. But either way, it was quite a moment for Darrell Young. And it was perhaps inevitable that something was going to be on the road, wasn't it, after the amount of white smoke that came pluming out of the back of the Lamborghini. You
got quite a long way to predicting what potential dramas yes. would unfold, and unfortunately they did. There is a lot of fluid down there, isn't there, being dressed?
An awful lot of officials have gone for an inspection.
Yes, they are. So quite a lot of marshals continue to work. It's incredible the way that they can deal with fluid on track and work it into the tarmac along with the agent that they apply to it to make it all of a sudden drivable once again. Very effective, that. And we are assuming we'll get a podium. Now, you referred to that accident where in the GT Cup race, Lawrence Van Tour ended up in a very worrying end to the race when the car almost climbed the catch fence, finished up on the roof, and was then awarded the win. And I can't remember him being on the podium. I can't remember having the podium. But that's not to say it didn't happen. I might have been having a lie down because it was quite shocking.
He did receive his trophy at the SRO Awards a week or two later, and everybody had to stand on their head so they could recognise him.
I think he was as surprised as anyone that
he
won the race.
I mean, he might not have been on the podium because he didn't think he'd won, of course.
Yeah.
But yes, we've had quirky results like that of seasons past.
And again, that particular incident was proof of just how well the safety equipment, the track furniture works to enclose the car. It went up in the air quite a long way and was gathered in by the catch fencing, finished up on the roof. And when we have incidents at Macau, sometimes they are incredibly dramatic, just through the very nature of the circuit and the machinery.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only that it's a street circuit with little margin, it's such a fast circuit in the majority of places as well. So when an accident comes, it's at high speed, which other street circuits don't necessarily lay claim to. So yeah, I'm like you wondering about a podium here. So the light is fading fast, which is another reason why the race wasn't going to be resumed, because by the time they cleared the circuit, sorted out the barrier, there'd be no light. So there was a graphic you'll have seen a little while ago that said session not resumed due to weather. It's more the natural light. It's not that, you know, it's pouring with rain. It's the fact that the visibility would be against us.
And also, cars were indicated to go to the paddock and not to Parc Fermé.
Yes.
So I wonder if that's an indication that potentially we might not have a podium presentation for the final race of the day. That is potential that we won't have one.
So last year's winner, Ye Hongli, starts his defence, if you like, in the best fashion with a win in that first grid deciding race for the Sands China Macau GT Cup. And suddenly, as we get to the end of the day at the circuit, people drift away, the teams leave the pit lane. In the last few minutes, it's just taken on a completely different feel, hasn't it? Because this bustling hive of motorsport activity now, completely different feel.
We are now getting ready to for the Macau circuit to become roads around Macau and the bustling nightlife. This is an important night in the calendar for the local businesses, for the hotels, for everything to do with the nightlife of Macau, because it's Grand Prix week and that means there'll be a lot going on. This is a good sign that we are going to be having a podium presentation for our final race of the day, the Sands China Macau GT Cup. People with clipboards ahead of a podium is always a good sign.
Yes, this is true. Have clipboard, will travel. He says, moving his clipboard to one side. But, yes. There used to be a gang of mates of mine when we used to go and watch oval racing. And we would all stand at a given corner at a stock car track, writing down numbers of cars and filling in our programmes. And it became known as Clipboard Corner. Well, we are definitely going to have a podium because the dignitaries have been confirmed to us. They will make their way shortly to the podium along with 2, maybe 3 drivers. There'll be trophies, there'll be garlands. Might be a first aid kit for Darrell Young, but hopefully it's nothing more than bruises after his sizable accident.
And I've just seen something else as well, a flash gun on a camera, and that gives you an idea of how low the light level has become at Macau now, and with cameras flashing, doing test shots ahead of the podium presentation.
Interestingly, the result has taken out Darrell Young.
Okay.
Now, that's on the result sheet that we've been offered for the presentations. It's not changed on the timing screen.
It has not, but we believe the piece of paper.
Yes.
Yep, we do.
But while you're talking about a podium, I'm going to go back into the results here and have a look at whether it does implement a Motorsport UK style regulation.
Potentially, that's in the regulations for this year. Clearly, as we were just saying, from the situation that we had with Lawrence Van Tour, that was not the situation then, but regulations can alter from year to year, and David's going through the regulations now. And there's quite a lot of them, so it might take a little while to get the relevant parts of the regulations for the Sands China Macau GT Cup, but we are standing by. Have you got somewhere?
Well, to appear in the final classification, the driver must have crossed the finish line, not in the pit lane and under their own power, at the end of the lap from which the results will be taken. And if you're taking the results from lap 4, Darrell Young was in second place. Should a driver cause the session to be stopped, the driver will not appear in the final classification.
So that's,
if a driver is not directly responsible for the incident, the stewards may decide not to remove the driver. So you could argue that it wasn't Darrell Young's fault because it wasn't his oil, but it was his car crashing that did cause the stoppage.
Yes, and maybe that's the same regulation that referred to Lawrence Vantour as well, because that would make sense. Not the direct cause and indirect cause, and the steward's going to have a look at it and take a decision. For the second time today, I'll say I'm glad we don't take the decisions in race control. There is a large body of very, very well experienced officials in race control, and they will know how they're going to run the final results of our first race.
Yeah, the race director would say, you caused it, you're out of the results. The team might appeal to the stewards. They might take a different view, but the race director doesn't do judicial. He just runs the race.
That's the job for the stewards.
Yeah, exactly. So, as you say, a new regulation brought in. So, apologies if I was misleading you, but it's not a normal international regulation. So I think we are needing to round up a third place driver, aren't we? That's the reason that we're not yet able to have a podium ceremony.
And as soon as we do, then we're ready to go. I think one presenter for all three of the trophies for our final race of the day, the Sands China Macau GT Cup. And as we say, things get underway here in Macau a little later than this morning, 7:45 this morning, 8:30 tomorrow morning for the Win Macau Challenge Cup. All of our races tomorrow over the course of 12 laps around Macau. 6 races in total. 2 touring car races to start the action. GT race, back to touring cars, back to GTs, and then the sole single-seaters for the final race of the day. The big one, the 2021 SJM Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix.
So the beneficiary out of the removal of Darrell Young from the results is going to be the Audi driver Chen Wei An, who will be up into third place. And it's him that I think needs to be found to be brought to the podium. Real shame that, not only in terms of spoiling the race, but also, of course, the damage done to the Mercedes. But the thought of Darrell Young and Alexandre Imperatore having to come from near the back of the grid for the race tomorrow is quite
you're
an
thinking
intriguing
ahead.
one. I'm looking at the consolation here.
Yes, you are. And yeah, we didn't find out really what befell the Porsche of Imperatore, did we?
No.
Number 20 car just went straight on. It didn't particularly seem to have lost pace particularly. And
we shall research overnight, but yeah, a real shame there. My suspicion is it's a legacy of the brush with the barriers yesterday.
Yeah.
But it took, what, 3 laps to manifest itself?
It did.
So we await the podium. It has all gone jolly quiet outside, as now drivers are going to be brought forward in a moment.
It's gone reasonably quiet in the commentary box because we're getting information coming through ahead of the podium.
And the light fades outside us. So the cars back to the paddock, back to their teams, and there more of the course vehicles complete the lap to the pits, and a new bulletin has been offered that's got Darrell Young in second place.
Yes.
So I tell you what, you 5-ism drivers, and I'll tell you who they are, because right now it's been a long day. I've given up trying to second guess regulations.
Well, potentially, bearing in mind that we were given one piece of paper that suggested Darrell Young would not be in second place, and then another piece of paper that now suggests he will be in second place rather refers to the regulation that you were reading out that was saying that potentially there could be a decision made by the stewards that if you didn't directly cause the red flag, it was an indirect cause of the red flag, then you would still be on the podium, which rather suggests that's what has happened.
Should we play Mornington Crescent while we're waiting? Because there's time to kill.
I'm not convinced that I'd win.
No.
We did think that around about 6 o'clock it would get dark. It is now quite an arty podium that we're going to have because it does get dark very quickly at Macau.
Moody.
It is moody.
Moody podium.
Yes.
Another jazz saxophonist. Yes.
Yes, we did have Lilac Crane earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, I've got his album. It was really good.
Oh, no, sorry. I was assuming that was a female jazz performer.
Oh, no.
Oh, right.
No,
okay.
no.
Right.
No.
Oh, that's Indigo Crane.
Nurse hides out of bed again. Now then, concentrate here. We're nearly done. There's only one more podium to go. You specialise in podiums, Alan. Go and rustle them all up.
Well, I can see drivers there.
Yes.
And as soon as I see drivers, then I tend to get rather excited and I normally put the school teacher voice on and say, you, stand there.
That's your school teacher voice, is it?
No one's scared.
No. I might throw paper at him now. See what it does. We do have an increasing number of the event officials, and again, I think until the stewards have confirmed a result, we can't do a podium. It's as simple as that.
Plenty of things that are going on behind the scenes and behind the podium that you see there. And man with microphone comes onto the podium, which is always a good sign.
Because he's got something to announce.
Well, he's hoping he does.
Well, yes, unless it's to announce, there's nothing to announce, and we'll be a little while yet.
I reckon he's got the piece of paper that we've just been sent over.
Yeah.
So I think we are going to see Darrell Young in second place.
Well, I am awaiting this. My breath is bated to find out exactly which top three we're going to go for. Still, the timing screen confirms that Darrell Young is second, but we shall see.
In the fullness of time, and it's night time at Macau now, and when you see the drivers come onto the lit podium, you'll see the flashes go off on the cameras of all of the world's media that's assembled to record every podium here at Macau, because every podium is an historic moment in a driver's career. To be on the podium at Macau is something very special indeed. Ye Hong Lee drove a fabulous race. This means we are just about ready to go. Start the podium proceedings.
So, the Sands China Trophy girls step forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, our last trophy presentation today.
Here we go.
At the podium for Sands China Macau GT Cup, the winning drivers, number 99, third place driver, Lau Kai Lau from Hangzhou. Congratulations.
Lau Kai Lau confirmed for third.
Second place, number 95, Daryl Ouyang, Hong Kong driver. Congratulations.
So there, after his trip to the medical centre, Darrell Ouyang confirmed as second place.
And the winner, number 33, Ye Hong Lee, driver from Shanghai. Congratulations. And now may I invite Mr. Andy Coble, Senior Vice President of Table Games and Gaming Optimization of Sands China Limited, to present the trophies to our winning drivers. First to third place driver, Lau Kai Lau. Congratulations. Then to second place driver, Daryl Ouyang. Congratulations. And now to our winner, number 33, Ye Hong Lee. Congratulations. Let's get closer to the middle for a group photo. All right, trophies in the air. Congratulations. Job well done.
Final photographs being taken.
Congratulations to our drivers again, and thank you, Mr. Coble.
And our thanks to Sands China for its sponsorship of the GT Cup. And Darrell Young with mixed emotions. He's on the podium. If he's got a car that works, he'll be on the front row of the grid. But
and that's the important
big question.
Yeah, that's the important question that was going on as far as the assessment of what exactly was going to happen on the podium.
And he's not hanging about for photographs, is he?
No.
Bye. I'm gone.
He's got a long evening ahead with the team working on that car.
Well, that's the end of the day at Macau. We'll see you tomorrow for more racing from 8:30. But let's have a look back at the Sands China GT Cup from Alan Hyde and David Addison. It's from Macau, good night. In the UK, good morning. And either way, we'll see you tomorrow.